This is Mark Mandic from Markus, Jayne, BallPythons at BallPython.ca, and you're listening to Herp Herp Hooray.
It says here we should work in teams. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
You're about to enter Information Overload, a worldwide transmission with Herp Herp Hooray's featured Breeder of the Week. Here's your host, Jason Rossi.
All right, we're back with another information-packed show. You're listening to H3. I'm your host, Jason Rossi, where we bring you the reptile industry leaders and people I looked up to. This week, we have our first international guest. Even though we share the same continent, I'm pleased to announce this week's featured breeder of the week, Mark Mandic from Markus, Jayne, BallPythons. Mark, welcome to Herp Herp Hooray.
Thank you, Jason. I appreciate it.
So, 75 morphs and counting. Have we reached that number?
Oh, you know what? It's funny you should ask, because the other day I was sitting on my couch in front of a nice roaring fire, tabulating all the new morphs that I've got, and I'm up to over 150 right now. I mean, that list hasn't been updated in probably 3 years, and I'm averaging 50 new morphs a year, and when I say that, not, world first or whatever, I'm not a big fan of that term, but new morphs to my collection. These are morphs that have been produced before by other people, but they didn't exist in my collection. And so it's pretty exciting. I feel pretty confident that I've got 200 different morphs here in my collection.
That's awesome, man. But you also have created a bunch of Canada's firsts, am I right?
Yeah, a lot of Canada's firsts. This year was, I like to call them World of BallPython first, because there's really no way of knowing whether they're world firsts. But, I think the World of BallPythons has become kind of like, the go-to website to see what's out there in the different combinations and who produced them first. And this year I was lucky enough to produce 15. So it was quite the banner year.
Wow, man, that's impressive. So as I looked at your website, I saw this awesome animal sitting right there. It says the Marvel ball, but unless I missed it, I didn't see any information on this. Could you give us a little insight on that animal? It looks like it's a crazy whacked out pastel super stripe or something.
Well, that's exactly what it is. It's a pastel super stripe, but it's a citrus pastel super stripe. And I'll tell you a little story about this snake. 3 years ago, I think it was, I was down at the Tinley Park show, and I was looking for a new, unique ball python, something that really popped out. And what I generally do is, I'll look at the big guys' booths and everybody's booths, but sometimes, you get these smaller breeders and they've got these hidden gems, and people don't, kind of pass them by. And I was working the aisles, and I came down one aisle, and there was this big crowd hovered around. People were taking pictures, whatever, and I'm thinking, I don't know what they were taking pictures of. Maybe it was, a banana combination or whatever. And, I finally got a look, and there was this snake, which was the Marvel. And everybody's doing an awing, and then they hand it back to the vendor, which ended up being Mark Haas. And they all disappeared. And I'm standing there looking at this snake, and he had that snake was and the parents and whatever. And it ended up being from a citrus pastel ivory that he got from Amir. Anyways, I determined, obviously this has to be a citrus pastel super stripe, and it was off the charts nice. And I said to it, is it for sale? And he said, yeah, it's for sale. And I said, he said, but, the guys that just went away there, they're going to think about buying it. They said they're going to think about buying it. I said, well, what's there to think about? He said, I haven't got a clue. I said, can you give me a second to think about it? And he said, yeah, I'll give you a second to think about it. I said, okay, I'll buy it. And he was shocked because this was not a cheap snake. And I believe it was $14,000, something like that. And anyways, we secured the deal and that. And as I was walking by, the entourage that had just left was coming back, and I just kind of, as I walked by, I looked at him and said, sorry guys, you're too late, and that was it. So I was pretty excited about getting that snake.
You snooze, you lose.
Well, you do, and I don't know how many times, you see a nice snake that really pops out at you, and you kind of, hum and haw, and I mean, it happens at my booth, where I'll have snakes for sale when I'm at shows up here, and people go, well, I got to go think about it. Well, they go away, and they come back an hour later, the snake's sold. And they're like, well, why'd you sell the snake? Because I didn't know you were coming back, and, you have to kind of sign on the dotted line. But there's the opportunities. It's recognizing opportunities that's important. And that snake there has given me more publicity than most of my snakes, other than maybe the lightning pied. But, he was worth that much in advertising alone.
It was an amazing animal, and that guy is the next guy on the list. Congrats on hitting that lightning pied, that double recessive. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, that's my rock star. It's always interesting to go to shows and look at people's reaction when they see it, listen to people talk about it, and what's more important is not the people that are in the know, but the people that don't know anything about snakes are absolutely blown away by that snake. And what's curious is, piebalgs are beautiful, but for some reason, because of the black and white, it just seems to just grab people. It's almost, like a black and white photograph. Mm-hmm. Seems to capture people more than a colored photograph does, and that seems to be the same for this snake. But, the lightning pied is such a great snake, and it's one of those snakes that actually does get better with age, because, we all know that axanthics have a tendency to dull out as they get older, as do a lot of morphs. But for some reason, the combination of piebald and this axanthic seems to make the snake brighter and brighter as it gets older, so it's pretty cool. And on that note, a lot of people ask me, what line of axanthic is it? And at this point, we have not proven it to be compatible with any line of axanthic. We've bred two axanthic VPI females with a piebald head axanthic that I had, and produced 0 axanthics, or 0 axanthic pieds. Michael Cole is getting a male, and he's going to breed it to a snakekeeper line.